For a long time, I was wanting to reduce waste in the kitchen and also start composting. Grocery prices are high. We need to eliminate throwing anything into the garbage, just in general. So it took me a long time to get started. I don't know if you feel that way about anything, but I kept saying I want to start composting, but I wasn't like doing it. And I thought, oh, I need a better system. Oh, I need this piece of equipment. Or we were looking to move. I'll just wait till we move to a bigger property. And all these excuses. All right, the key is start small, start simple, and start with like what you can do and what is in your control. So today I'm sharing the simple ways that I have reduced waste in my kitchen, how I'm composting, and how I utilize my freezer a lot to reduce waste. So let's just jump into it with something very, very simple. Okay, I'm gonna sprinkle in some maybe video and picture clips as I'm talking, trying to illustrate what I do, and these clips are from the past few weeks. I've been collecting them. Okay, let's just start off with cutting up strawberries. Very simple task. A lot of mamas are doing it. So what I do, wash them, whatever you wash them in, get out your cutting board, and I cut the strawberries. The good strawberries go into a bowl for eating, snacks, lunch boxes, what have you. Then with the top of the strawberry, if I cut off like a lot, I will actually cut more and have like little pieces. I'll throw those into my smoothie bag. And then the green tops, the true part that we do not want to eat, I throw those in the compost bag or bin. For composting, I have two like Tupperware bins. All right, that's what I keep in my freezer, and I keep them in my freezer so they don't stink up my house. All right, those are my compost bins. And then I have the smoothie bag, and I reuse this bag. Eventually, I get a new one. I could get a Tupperware for that as well, but just haven't at this point, so I use a bag. So when I do strawberries, essentially I've got good strawberries, composting, and I've got smoothie. So if any strawberries are maybe a little mushy or they're just past the point where my kids are going to eat them, but they're not gross, they're not disgusting, they're kind of just too soft, they could go in the smoothie bag, get frozen, and made into smoothies in a couple days. So that's my system with strawberries specifically. Bananas. How am I reducing waste with bananas? Well, we use them for banana bread a ton. So if I've got bananas that are going bad, I will peel them and I will go ahead and put them in a bag in my freezer. Typically, I go ahead and put them in the smoothie bag. Often we make banana bread with fresh bananas, but if I am gonna end up having my bananas go bad, I will freeze them. Okay, don't waste them. Yes, bananas are cheap, but it's still wasteful. The peels go in the compost bin. Bananas are never going to waste in my house ever again. Now, other simple things like potatoes, when I peel them, apples, I do peel them some. My kids eat some peels, some not. Those peels go in the compost bin. The apple core, it goes in the compost bin. Food scraps from fruits and vegetables especially go in the compost bins, okay? Like I said, they go in the freezer, and then every so often I take care of it. We'll come back to exactly how I dispose of my compost in a little bit, okay? Now, some other things that I'm doing in my kitchen. The composting, I love it. It's really cool. I'm doing other things with like fresh, I won't say herbs, but kind of like herbs. So just the other day I got cilantro. And we have learned this over time because I would put it in a cup of water, I'd put it in the fridge, I'd leave it out. Cilantro for me would go bad after just a couple days. Well, what we have decided is wash it, kind of dry it a little bit, pick off the leaves off the stem and put them in a plastic Ziploc bag in the fridge or any container for that matter. And we can get a couple weeks out of our cilantro. The stems I throw in the compost bin. You can do whatever you want to do with your stuff. These are my ideas. Some people would chop this up and make a lime cilantro rice. Okay, maybe you have a purpose for the cilantro stems that I'm not even doing. Great, leave a comment. If you have anything in addition to add to what I'm saying of a way to be more thrifty with an item, more like stretching the budget and using of it, please leave a comment for other people. Okay, so that's something I do with cilantro. Green onions or chives, however you want to call them, but I consider them more like green onion because they're larger. I buy them at the grocery store. I will give them a little trim on the top of like any parts that are weak and wobbly, and then I will trim the roots and I place them in a pot by my sink with real dirt. I plant them essentially. Okay, the roots will take off, and then say we're having a baked potato night and I want, green onion on my baked potato. We chop, 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 and it will grow back. So green onions, I will buy them probably, I'd have to look at how many times I've bought them this year, but I would say about once every month, maybe 3 weeks. And then they start looking really pale, really thin, and really weak. Okay, at this point, I pull them out, I throw them in the compost, and I buy fresh ones at the grocery store. I am stretching it. I know these things only cost like 89 cents, but if I can stretch it 3 weeks, why not? First of all, I got fresh ones. I don't have to constantly buy them. And it's just one less thing to keep track of on my grocery shopping list. All right. Or like buying a fresh thing and then you don't use it and it goes bad. Like we all know the people that buy that tub of spinach, that mixed greens, and every week they just throw it in the trash. But they feel like they need to buy it because it's healthy. We don't play around like that here. We buy it to eat it. That's how we do it in our house. Now, something I just recently started is starting a bag with certain vegetable parts or peels. So like say onion. I have started doing a scrap bag for vegetable soup, vegetable broth that I can make at certain points. And so that's something new I'm trying and giving a go. Everything doesn't go in this bag, only certain things do. Okay, I'm not putting apple peels in there, for example. So this is like one more step in the composting, but trying to give it a purpose and turn it into something like a vegetable broth. And when it comes to broths and things like that, I am not a canner. I haven't done any canning projects yet. I haven't done that yet. I haven't gone down that rabbit hole fully, but I have a freezer. I have a couple freezers. We have a fridge in our kitchen and we have a fridge in our laundry room. So I have two like normal size freezers. We also have one in the garage, but I don't trust it. So I have two freezers that I can use. How am I using them? Well, broth. So when I cook up big batches of chicken, I am saving that broth and I'm freezing it into cubes. And now I have quite a big supply of chicken broth. It's how I make rice now. I don't even use water. I truly cook it in like chicken broth. Oh my gosh, it makes it so much yummier. And my rice has been more delicious than ever. So that's been super fun. And again, I don't can, so I freeze. Obviously, canning makes things shelf stable. It is better. Okay, if the power goes out, your canned goods are good. I'm gonna lose things in my freezer. But the reality is, this is where I'm at. And we gotta do what we can handle. And I can handle freezing things. So some things in my freezer, the chicken broth that I mentioned. I will freeze bacon grease. I will, oh, how do I get these things? So I cook up meats in bulk. I'll cook up a bunch of chicken and shred it so that I'll have the broth. I'll cook up a bunch of bacon at once and then I'll have a bunch of bacon grease and I will freeze that as well. I do other things too. I do ground beef, I do ground sausage, and I do pulled pork. Okay, so there's other things as well. And these help me just not have food going bad constantly in the fridge. I have frozen meat ready to go and ready to turn into very simple and quick and easy dinners. So that's not necessarily hugely on the waste factor, but freezing your meats does prevent some waste. All right, as long as you're going through that freezer, it's great. Some other things in my freezer. So I often make pizzas. So during the summer, I'll have a cherry tomato plant, for example. I will flash freeze all these cherry tomatoes. I cut them in half, flash freeze them, and then I store those in the freezer. And all year I have been pulling out these tomatoes and I put them on my pizza. Same with some frozen spinach. Same with mozzarella cheese. So I will buy like that soft mozzarella that you would put on a pizza. I buy a whole thing of it, chop it up, flash freeze it, and then I'll put it in a container because cheese goes bad. Dairy does not last forever, especially if it gets oils from your hands on it, and then it can grow mold and it doesn't last that long. So I buy the cheese in bulk, chop it up, freeze it, and it's saving me money. It's reducing waste of the cheese like spoiling. And now when I want to make a pizza, I don't have to get out every ingredient. I just like grab them out of my freezer and they're ready to go. It's like pre-chopped. It's so much less work and makes making pizza easy. So my freezer holds a lot of components that then get used in other dishes and other meals. Now, the other thing that I mentioned that is stored in my freezer are these compost bins. So I've got two bins. I just stole them from my mom's house, to be honest. And these are designated for compost. When I dump the compost, I do rinse them out and then I dry them off and reuse them for compost. So I don't give them normally like a full wash, and they do kind of like have an onion smell to them at this point. I'm totally okay with that. And actually in the winter one time, well, not one time, over the course of the winter, the ground was frozen for a really long time here, so I couldn't go out and take care of my compost. So I actually just even used grocery sacks for a while there and was putting things in the sack that weren't like overly mushy. Okay, there were things that were like firm enough that they'd freeze and not make a mess in my freezer. So I even had to do a little extra at one point, but made it work. And overall, the two bins get me by for the most part, unless it's like rained a ton or is frozen ground. What I do, I'm not an expert composter, so don't come at me too hard, but I have a hole, I dig it, I bury the compost, and that's it. And then when the compost bins are full again, I go out there, I dig around the same spot. I try to like move around slightly, that way that I'm not digging where I just put stuff, but I'll kind of like move around that area and I just keep digging a hole, throw the food scraps in, and I bury it. I don't know if that's proper composting, but it's working for me. So we got a ton of worms out there. They're loving it. They're breaking down that food and enjoying it. And the soil's looking really nice out there. I, at some point, will use some of that soil in my garden, which I have not fully established. We moved here about a year ago, so still working out the kinks on setting up a garden area. But when we moved here, I was like, I'm doing the compost thing. I said I was gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Now for you, you may not have a spot where you can dig a hole and bury it. We live on about an acre, so we have that ability here. There are bins you can buy. It's like a stand, and it's all contained in plastic. Like, you don't have to have the visual of food falling out everywhere, or a leaf pile, or a compost like pile. I bury it. I don't know if I should be piling it. I need to do more research, and maybe in the future I'll make a pile of it near my garden. But for now, what I'm doing is working. And then there's these other compost things. They're almost like an incinerator. I think you can keep them in your house. They're probably more pricey. I can link one, but I don't know anything about them particularly. I dig a hole in my yard, and all mine requires is a shovel and a couple Tupperware containers that I keep in the freezer. So for me, that is how I'm doing compost, and that is how I'm reducing waste in my kitchen. So some of those are the options. Another thing is to consider your local area. There's actually some places around you that might accept compost. Okay, so you could do the container in your freezer, and every so often take it and dump it at a composting facility. All right, so that's something to look into as well. When it comes to composting, I'm not very well versed, not very well educated. I need to do a ton more learning. I do know a couple things that they tell you to steer clear of, and that would be things like cooking oil, grease, fatty stuff like that, meats, because it's gonna attract too many little critters, and dairy. They don't advise putting dairy out there as well. So those are a couple no-nos that I know right off the top, and I don't include in my compost. Don't wait for the perfect time to reduce your waste, or to start composting, or to start saving chicken broth and making your own homemade broths. Don't keep waiting, okay? I don't know how to can, but I'm doing it with my freezer. I don't really know how to compost right and have zero supplies, but I'm doing it with a hole in my yard. Don't wait, just go for it. So at the end of the day, it's not about buying all this equipment, okay? I have homesteading vibes in me, but I can't afford to buy all the things. So for me, composting and just the hole in the yard, it was something I was like, I can do this, and I can do it for absolutely free. The way to do it is slowly building your habits or your skills. Composting is not a skill, it's a habit. Other things are skills, okay? And I need to work on them more. I want to learn how to make tortillas. But right now, composting, it was this thing where I started doing it with strawberries, and I started doing it with banana peels and eggshells. And then, one day I would peel a banana and throw the peel in the trash can, and I would be like, oops. And I could dig it out, I could put it in the compost bin, or I could just leave it and say, that one bit the dust today. And that's okay, because any of these things, they're not about perfection. Okay, they're about constant and slow improvement via habits and consistency. And I'm trying to reduce waste in my kitchen for so many reasons. Okay, shoot, I'm not trying to go to the grocery store and pay for food to bring it home and throw it away and go through even more trash bags and things like that. I am saving on trash bags. That is something I want to do at some point. When we buy a new thing of trash bags, date the box and see how long it takes me to go through, say 200 trash bags. Because we do not go through a lot of trash bags in this house. And I'm very, very proud of that, because that's more waste. All right, I know some people think throwing food scraps in the trash is no big deal, but it doesn't break down right at the dump. All right, it does break down where there's worms available, and it's not the same in a trash bag at a dump. So give maybe composting a try. Give yourself a try, and maybe figuring out a way to just reduce waste, like planting the chives. Get yourself a little pot of dirt, and when you buy green onions, plant them. Buy the ones with roots and plant them. I dare you to try this and see if it works for you. It's worked great for me. I've been doing that for years now. You don't need the perfect setup or the perfect season. Just go for it. If you like content like this, I'm all about mom, home. I love the idea of getting more into homesteading. We're not quite there yet, but baby steps. All right, if this is what you are about, subscribe to my channel, check out more videos. I'm also hugely about saving money and reducing waste in the kitchen. All right, it's the heart of the home. Thanks so much. Have a great day.